All right, good Wednesday morning, everyone. 48 First Alert Meteorologist Eric Burke. Appreciate you joining us for Weather Extra. We've got a lot to cover on this Wednesday Weather Extra. As so far this week, a couple of you, mainly east of I-65, have seen some of those isolated downpours through the afternoon hours, but it's been just that, very isolated, very hit and miss. Almost everyone stayed dry, and those of us that stayed dry, Huntsville hit a high of 100 degrees on Monday. I think our peak heat index was about 105 on Monday. And yesterday, the Shoals hit 99. Not quite 100, but 99. But both of those days, we had the heat advisory, kind of grossly hot and humid. Well, today it's still uncomfortable. Heat index will continue to climb into the upper 90s to lower 100s. Until this afternoon. We're actually tracking a front coming in, and this front will bring changes in a couple of ways. Just want to show you the radar, kind of a broad view. Actually had some sprinkles very early this morning. When I got to work at 3 o'clock, it was raining in parts of Colbert, Franklin, and also Lawrence County there. Obviously, that has long since dissipated, and then even earlier this morning, had a little shower just popping up and north of you in Hazel Green there. But looking at next red radar, a couple showers popping up now north of Jackson, Tennessee, north of Interstate 40 there in parts of West Tennessee. But this is going to be that front that's going to start to kind of drop its way south as we go through the rest of the afternoon and evening. Of course, we've got plenty of fuel for these storms. You need that trigger. That trigger is going to be the cold front itself. When you've got a heat index around 100 and you've got a front coming in, inevitably you're going to see some form of rain showers and storms. So let's get to your 4-day forecast, just kind of break it down for you. I couldn't come up with a better caption other than best chances, and best chances for rain and storms. That is, I wish it was just rainfall. Not the case here. We are expecting some storms, some potentially stronger. Wind will become northwesterly. Right now it's kind of light and variable, but eventually as the front drops in, we will have a northwesterly wind. And we'll go through your storm chances hour by hour coming up. Just want to touch on the next couple of days too before we dive too far into it. Mostly dry tomorrow, going with a 20% chance of just kind of some isolated pop-up showers, maybe a storm, and it's kind of probably going to favor areas of Sand Mountain, northeast Alabama. By Friday, a little bit more humidity returning for Friday, high of 89, probably feeling like mid to upper 90s. Going with a 40% chance of scattered showers and storms right now, but actually a lot of the models are showing drier skies for Friday, and that's excellent news because I believe this is week 0 of high school football, so don't want to see any of those games have lightning or weather-related delays. Hopefully we keep lowering that chance for Friday. Maybe it's 20 by the time I get into work tomorrow morning. Who knows? We will keep you updated on that. The weekend forecast, Saturday going to be the more humid of the 2 days, high temperature of 88 degrees. We're expecting a few isolated showers and storms, and that's also another day that is trending a little bit drier. You can see your average high is 91, average low is 70. We're going to talk about some below average temperatures, actually some really nice stretch of weather coming into the early part of next work and school week, and that's the week leading up to Labor Day weekend. Hard to believe we're talking about that, September almost, this summer. Blink of an eye. The weather's been hot. It's been miserable. We've seen a lot of rain and storms, not so much lately, but earlier in the summer, it seemed like every day. Well, today, best chances of rain showers and storms as that front starts to drop in from the north, and things will be pretty scattered, maybe even numerous at times. I hope if you need rainfall that you actually get some today, because I've been getting a lot of emails, a lot of messages saying we haven't seen a drop of rain in insert amount of days and or weeks. So if you need it, I hope you get it today, because this really is a good opportunity for us to pick up some beneficial rainfall. Tomorrow is Thursday. That means a new drought monitor usually comes out around 7:15 or so in the morning. I will, of course, share that with you tomorrow morning. But it's not just rain today. We've got the ingredients for potentially a few stronger storms. Biggest threat will probably be some non-severe, but potentially still isolated damaging wind gusts. You know, the gust of wind that sometimes topple some of the trees at 35, 45 miles per hour. Potential for some pea-sized hail if we get a good organized storm with a strong updraft. And then the lightning, that's a big one here. Lightning safety, so important. If you hear thunder, see lightning, time to bring it inside. Always remind your student athletes too. I'm sure their coaches, instructors are great with weather safety too. That's a lot of responsibility to have all those kids out on a field. But if you hear thunder, see lightning, we always say, you know, outside of that parent thunderstorm, 10 plus miles, you have the potential of seeing one of those rogue lightning strikes. So hour by hour look at the rest of the day today. here's what your Wednesday is going to look like. Temperatures are warming up. And by noon, we're probably in the upper 80s to low 90s, feeling like mid upper 90s, maybe even lower 100s. Now here comes the front, and this is new model data. It is showing a little more hesitation with the amount of coverage, but still, this is pretty healthy as we go through that evening commute here, 5 o'clock, as far as the amount of people actively dealing with potential rainfall. And it can be so heavy, you can see the ponding and puddles forming on area roadways, poor visibility, just your traffic headaches to begin with. Showers and storms start to wind down around sunset, which is just before 7:30 this evening. But we could see some straggling showers, maybe some rumbles of thunder between about 8 and 10 p.m. And then the drier air starts to come in overnight, and that drier air is going to gradually erode some of the clouds, and we wake up with temperatures in the upper 60s to low 70s. I think you'll feel the humidity difference first thing in the morning, whether you're heading out for work or taking your students off to the bus stop. But before the storms fire up today, we are anticipating that heat index to continue to climb into the upper 90s to lower 100s. All right, I mentioned I got a lot of things to talk about today, one of them being the tropics, and it's more not so much the focus on Category 2 Hurricane Erin. We'll talk the specs and numbers about that in a second. It's the trend of things getting a lot more active. We're starting to get these what we call easterly waves coming off the coast of Africa. You have to think out there in the deserts of Africa, you get that heat building, and then it gets caught in the upper level winds. It starts to track north of the equator, moving west, and these are just going to follow basically an identical path to what Hurricane Erin took just last week. So almost like on train tracks, you've got the upper level winds, the steering mechanisms, but the Hurricane Center now watching two different areas behind Erin, right on its tails. 60% chance of development for the one that's farther west there. You see that 60% on your screen. That's over the next 7 days. And then a 40% chance of development over the next 48 hours to 7 days too for that second wave coming in, and it's going to take that identical path. Now we go out to Hurricane Erin, currently a Category 2 storm, 110 mile per hour winds. This is a huge hurricane. If you look at it, basically bridging all the way from Bermuda, at least the outer bands, some of that cloud cover associated with it, just filling up from the east coast all the way out to Bermuda, seeing the outermost cloud cover associated with Erin. I know we ran a story this morning, a lot of rescues, water rescues because of the rip currents. Very rough surf, potential for coastal and inland flooding there along parts of the outer banks of North Carolina, the Carolinas, the mid-Atlantic in general. Will continue to keep its Category 2 strength, it looks like, maybe even re-intensifying into a Cat 3 here at some point either later today or tomorrow, so becoming a major hurricane again. But as far as direct impacts on land, and we're not expecting any form of a landfall. Here are your temperatures. Started off this morning low to mid 70s. We've warmed up quite a bit. We're in the mid 80s, pretty uniform temperatures. This is the uncomfortable factor here, and I mentioned the hot temperatures, the high humidity levels, the ingredients that we have to fuel showers and storms. Well, here comes that trigger being the cold front later on this afternoon. Hour by hour forecast. If you look in the yellow bar there, those are your rain and storm chances, similar to the graphic I already showed you, but basically afternoon into the evening commute and then winding down a bit after that, we'll have the most coverage of those showers and storms. So we skip forward to tomorrow morning. Already showed you the hour by hour look at this afternoon with the rain and storm coverage, and hopefully it's pretty numerous in nature. I'm not going to say widespread, but numerous in nature as far as the storms developing. Should be a pretty nice day tomorrow. Noticeably less humid. Dew points will be a little bit lower thanks to a north wind about 5 to 10. Mentioned that stray shower chance or storm probably towards Sand Mountain as we go through the afternoon into the evening. Now let's get to Friday here. Friday is going to be a more humid day. The wind back out of the south. And now we've got showers and storms popping up as early as noon, favoring kind of our eastern areas again. But some of you might see some delays or interruptions to your Week 0 football games. And then Saturday, too, showing a potential for maybe some isolated rain and a few storms popping up as we go through the afternoon hours. So don't cancel weekend plans. We'll keep you updated on the latest timeline like we always do. If not, check out your 48 weather app. Just glancing at some of the models with the high humidity and the dew points, and we've got, potential for pretty significant rainfall, especially if the storms today are very slow moving. We could see places picking up a quick 1 inch, inch and a half of rainfall before you know it. So watching out for a minor threat of flooding today with slow-moving storms. We go to the weekend, isolated storm potential for your Saturday. Saturday, the more humid of the 2 days, high of 88, but probably feeling like upper 90s. 89 on Sunday. Sunday should be a little less humid and mostly dry, just keeping that 20% chance of showers for the time being. Go to satellite and radar. Where do you see that gray band moving right along the Ohio River Valley? That's the front itself, and that's going to continue to drop to the south and eventually trigger those showers and storms. And then, of course, you have Hurricane Aaron there spinning. This is the other exciting news, and some of you might have seen some highlights of this. Potential for a false fall coming as we go into the early part of next week. I mentioned Sunday having less humidity with a real dry and somewhat cooler air starts to come in by Monday of next week. I think Monday morning we're probably waking up to low temperatures about 63 to about 65 degrees. Our high temperatures next week early are forecast to be in the low to mid 80s. Could even have some low temperatures next week, potentially in the upper 50s. So kind of cool, refreshing air coming in. And I say cool, I mean, we're still supposed to be at 91 degrees. So when you have a day with a high of 83, that is technically cool. That's well below average for this time of year. So I did want to share some of that exciting news with you here. 71 overnight tonight. Showers and storms starting to wrap up, probably 8, 10 o'clock at the latest. Maybe a slight chance of an overnight shower, but I think we're dry by the time we wake up tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning not feeling as humid. Kind of a nice day, mix of sun and clouds coming for your Thursday. High temperatures still reaching the mid to upper 80s. We'll have that north wind keeping our humidity in check. We'll keep an eye on your showers and storms, potentially for Friday afternoon and evening. Should just be scattered, but might have some football impacts for you. Weekend doesn't look too bad, but look at early next week. I mean, Tuesday morning, a low of 61. Some of you in Northeast Alabama, potentially in the upper 50s. High of 80 on Tuesday, 82 Wednesday, and a mostly dry stretch. I know some of you have been leaving some comments. I try and keep up with them. Quint, time to cut some grass again. I got one lawn if you want to do mine too. I'd be more than happy. Are we drinking some sweet tea? I'm not a sweet tea guy. I'm a coffee guy. Nothing against sweet tea. It's a little sweet for me. I'm a northerner. I haven't fully embraced it, but my wife could put down some sweet tea for sure. But Quint, thanks for the comments. Roberta, good morning to you. Appreciate it, guys. That's it. I'm on TVL with Peyton Walker at 11 a.m. and on your news at noon with Gina Benitez. Have a great Wednesday and keep a lookout for those storms that we're expecting later on this afternoon and evening. Heavy rain potential, but also some storms could be strong to marginally severe. Gusty winds, hail, and lightning. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow at 10:30 for Weather Extra. Have a great day.